Hello and welcome to the Library of Secrets and Facts. My name is Mystic, the discoverer of every mystic thing on the internet, and the discoverer of everything creepy and weird in TV shows, TV commercials, movies, cartoons and games. And today we are looking through 14 lost episodes of kids' TV shows. Let's start. Number 14, Candle Cove. Candle Cove is a creepypasta online horror story written by web cartoonist and author Chris Straub in 2009. The story centers on a fictional television series titled Candle Cove, that could only be viewed by a small group of people, predominantly children, who later recalled the disturbing show on a web forum. Straub has stated that he was inspired to write the creepypasta after reading Area 36-year-old still has occasional Lidsville nightmare, an article published via the satirical news outlet The Onion. Straub's story quickly became popular, inspiring numerous YouTube videos and fan fictions. In 2015, Straub self-published Candle Cove in a collection of short stories entitled Candle Cove and Other Stories. The Verge commented that Candle Cove differed from other creepypastas in that while most creepypasta have an anonymous folkloric quality, Candle Cove's originated from a known source and author. The story was adapted for the first season of the sci-fi anthology series Channel Zero, which aired in 2016. Additionally, Straub began the spin-off YouTube series Local 58 centered around strange broadcasts from the fictitious public access television channel where Candle Cove originally aired. The story is told via a thread on a forum called the Net Nostalgia Forums, where a group of users discuss an unusual low-budget children's television show, Candle Cove, that they all remember watching on Channel 58 when they were children. The show is about a young girl named Janice, who imagines herself the pirate characters are said to be portrayed by string marionettes thought to be friends with pirates. As the users continue to reminisce, they begin to recall more disturbing details about the show, such as a character known as the Skin Taker, a skeleton pirate who wears clothing made out of children's skin, and an episode that consisted entirely of the puppets flailing and screaming while Janice cries. It develops that there are no external records of the show's existence, and that even those who say they remember seeing it have different memories of certain episodes. The story closes with a user stating that he recently asked his mother if she remembered the show. She responded that every time Candle Cove came on, there was only static on the screen. Number 13. 101 Dalmatians, the series. Much like how Disney's Recess originally began production with a pitch pilot that would remain untelevised indefinitely, 101 Dalmatians, the series was first pitched as a pilot or demo to Disney in around 1996. The Recess pilot was also pitched at the same time as 101 Dalmatians. 1996 was when Disney's 101 Dalmatians live-action remake film came out. The animated series pilot had to be finished, and the actual show had to be started by early 1997. Unlike the Recess pilot, however, this Dalmatians pilot wouldn't be later remade into an episode of the TV show. It seems that the characters and animation would have been very close to what would be in the final product. Still, not much else is known about it, other than the fact it was possibly going to have another main character called Dub Penny, a female Dalmatian puppy. Penny's existence is evidenced by an artist drawing the removed character in a sneak peek for the series, twinned with Recess, in between clips of the pitched pilot, which was released on 1997 VHS releases of 101 Dalmatians, 1996, and Doug's Birthday Blues as a promo for ABC Saturday mornings. The clips shown in that sneak peek are all that is known about this pilot. Number 12. The Lion King, alternate ending. Good night, sweet prince. Scar's last words to Simba before his attempt to murder him. This is an alternate ending of the movie The Lion King. Indeed, this was the ending in the earlier production of the movie. However, producers alternated this ending as this first one was too horrific for a Disney film, and letting Scar be mauled by his hyena henchman was more interesting to Scar's death than simply having him burned to death as he did in this version. Ironically, the final scene was in fact based on an alternate ending of Beauty and the Beast where Gaston was killed by wolves, which was cut for the same reasons this ending was cut, because it was too graphic for a Disney film. Suddenly Simba hears a cry for help from below. He sees Scar clinging onto the edge of Pride Rock, who is trying to avoid falling into the burning flames far below him to his death. It is confirmed that it was indeed Scar who was calling for help, as he does so once again. Although Simba is willing to let Scar fall and die, he decides to help him when Scar tells Simba that if he lets him fall he is then a murderer and that he will be no better than Scar, something Scar knows Simba is not. To make his security that much better, Scar even adds that Simba has won, and is now king, which is obviously a lie. When Simba attempts to help Scar, Scar grabs Simba's mane and dashes him off the edge, causing Simba to fall to his apparent death. But just before Simba is about to smash into the burning ground below, he lands on a tree, breaking his fall and causing him to hit the ground with lesser impact. As Simba falls onto safe ground, the fire around him begins to spread, so Simba runs for his life, narrowly avoiding the fire. Although to Scar, Simba's survival was too far away to see, to him Simba simply fell until he was too small to see, causing Scar to believe that Simba fell to his death and that he had won. After Scar's evil laugh of victory, he gets consumed by the fire that engulfs Pride Rock, and burns to death. It begins to rain and the rain puts the fire out. After Simba's near death, he goes to see if an unconscious lion is okay. When it is shown that the lion wakes up and smiles at Simba, it can be assumed that the lion is okay. The lion's name was never revealed. In this early scene, whether the hyenas ran away, were killed by the lions, or burned to death is unknown. Or whether Scar escaped the flames and lived or just died another way, for example, being mauled by the lions, is also unknown. As well as what happened to the lions, Timon, Zazu, Pumbaa, and Rafiki. Did they burn to death like Scar? Were they devoured by the hyenas? Did they simply run away from the battlefield and never return? All those questions are unanswered due to the fact that the video to that scene just ends when the unknown lion awakens. It's been presumed that all copies of the original ending have been destroyed. However, storyboard art of the original ending exists and can be found in video form on YouTube. Number 11. Asterix and the Golden Serp. In 1967, editing company Dargo and animation studio Belvision adapted the first album of the popular Asterix series into the animated movie Asterix the Gaul. This was done by the company's editor and CEO without the knowledge of Asterix creators René Goscinny and Albert Uderzo, who only found out about it after completion. At the same time, Dargo and Belvision were already working on an animated movie adaptation of Astérix et les Serpenteurs, Asterix and the Golden Sickle in French, the second book in the series, that would have been 68 minutes long. The original comics plot was about the two Gaul protagonists, Asterix and Obelix, going to Lutetia so they could get a new golden sickle for their druid Getae fix. Presumably, the film's premise would have been mostly faithful. An adaptation of Asterix and the Big Fight was also intended. However, Goscinny and Uderzo were displeased by how the first movie turned out, especially because of how cheap and simplistic the animation was. When they saw a projection of the almost finished Golden Sickle movie, they were shocked by how hideous and poorly animated it was. They asked for all of the negatives of the Golden Sickle movie to be destroyed and for their editor, Dargo, to forget about the project and cease production on the Big Fight film. Many decades later, Uderzo himself commented, from a technical point of view, "It is dreadful, it is ugly." To this day, all that has been released to the public are some celluloids that were showcased at a 2005 convention in Brussels, Belgium, called Asterix, the Mirror World. Unfortunately, any other work that was completed may be permanently lost. Asterix and the Big Fight would eventually get a screened animated feature adaptation in 1989. Number 10. Cinderella Stories. Cinderella Stories was a cancelled spin-off of the 1950 Disney animated movie Cinderella, produced from 1999 to 2002. Each episode told the tale of the adventures of Cinderella after she got married. 3 episodes, Aim to Please, Tall Tale, and An Uncommon Romance, were released to VHS as Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. Storyboard art for an unnamed 4th episode about the Royal Entourage Festival has been found. It is unknown if any more episodes were produced. Number 9. Fantasia 2006. Early development for a third film began in June 23, 2002, with a working title of Fantasia 2006. Plans were made to include One by P. Hunt and The Little Match Girl by Roger Allers in the film before the project was shelved in 2004 for reasons unknown, with the proposed segments released as individual short films. Destino is an animated short film released in January 1, 2003 by the Walt Disney Company. Destino is unique in that its production originally began in 1945, 58 years before its eventual completion. The project was originally a collaboration between Walt Disney and Spanish surrealist painter Salvador Dalí, and features music written by Mexican songwriter Armando Dominguez and performed by Dora Luz. In 1999, Walt Disney's nephew Roy E. Disney, while working on Fantasia 2000, unearthed the dormant project and decided to bring it back to life. Lorenzo is a 2004 American animated short film produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation about a cat, Lorenzo, who is dismayed to discover that his tail has developed a personality of its own. The short was directed by Mike Gabriel and produced by Baker Bloodworth. It premiered at the Florida Film Festival on March 6, 2004, and later appeared as a feature before the film Raising Helen. However, it did not appear on the DVD release of the film. Work on the film began in 1943, but was shelved. It was later found along with Destino. 1 by 1 is a traditionally animated short film directed by P.J. Hunt and released by Walt Disney Pictures on August 31, 2004, as an extra feature on the DVD release of The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride Special Edition. The Little Match Girl is a 2006 animated short film directed by Roger Allers and produced by Don Hahn. It is based on an original story by Hans Christian Andersen entitled The Little Girl with the Matches or The Little Match Girl, published in 1845. Number 8. Danger Mouse. Prior to the premiere of Danger Mouse on September 28, 1981, 2 pilot episodes were created around 1979 to 1980. One of these pilots, The Mystery of the Lost Chord, has already been released years back, but the other one, The Great Bone Idol, is lost and has yet to see a commercial release. Over the years, the entire episode has remained lost, though screenshots have surfaced. It was meant to be released on DVD, but only the later pilot was included. The episode was redone in 1983, but it is unknown why the original never saw a modern release. The lost pilot might have had an animation cell reused in the second pilot, due to a few inconsistencies in the animation. The following image is the only image believed to be from the first pilot, due to the main character wearing a bow tie in a scene where he shouldn't. Notably, the other pilot was also redone, suggesting that either both were lost at one stage or that they were considered too low quality. Number 7. Johnny Test. Missing Pilot, 2004. Johnny Test is an American-Canadian animated television series. The series revolves around the adventures of the title character, Johnny Test, an 11-year-old suburban boy who lives with his super-genius 13-year-old twin sisters, Susan and Mary, both of whom are scientists. A pilot was produced in 2004, a full year before Kids WB picked it up as a full series. Very little is known about the pilot, other than the fact that Johnny, Dookie, who was referred to as Poochie at the time, Mary, Susan, their parents, Hugh and Lila, and Bling Bling Boy, referred as Golden Boy and had a different design, all appeared in the pilot. According to TV.com user Derek Yam, the pilot was animated in Flash. Unlike Season 1, which is animated at Warner Brothers at the time, it contained an American cast, unlike the rest of the series, which is mainly Canadian, with James Arnold Taylor retained as Johnny, and that the pilot was redone as the first episode of the series. Number 6. Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer is an educational children's show created by Chris Gifford, Valerie Walsh-Valdez, and Eric Weiner that ran from 2000 to 2015. It's one of the longest-running Nick Jr. shows, with over 140 aired episodes across its entire run. Additionally, there are 2 unaired pilot episodes that were made to sell the show, a test pilot and one referred to as pilot episode, which was finished on June 12, 1999. Not much is known about pilot episode. The plot is allegedly about Dora and Boots' journey to a giant cupcake. Many other characters from the show were also reportedly in the pilot, including Backpack, Map, Swiper, Benny, Isa, Tico, Grumpy Old Troll, Mommy, and Poppy. Dora's final design is shown in the test pilot, while Boots looks entirely different, more closely resembling the Grumpy Old Troll. Benny is also named Benito in the test pilot. On August 21, 2018, Lost Media Wiki Discord member Infinite Gates found a clip of the test pilot on the official Funline Animation website. This clip appears to be of much lower quality than the other clip, however. Number 5. Mickey and Minnie Mouse pornographic short. In 1936, shortly before Walt Disney's 35th birthday, his brother Roy encouraged Disney employees to hold a surprise birthday party for him, to which they agreed. Supposedly, 2 unknown animators decided that it would be funny if they were to animate a short of Mickey and Minnie Mouse having sex for the party. When the short was shown, Disney responded by feigning laughter before complimenting the quality of the animation and inquiring as to who had created it. Once the 2 animators came forward, he immediately fired them, then left the building. It has been claimed that he ordered the destruction of all known copies of the animation shortly thereafter. It is unknown if any copies of this short survived after this. Many have denounced the short's existence entirely, as the first public recounting of this story was in Mark Elliott's 1994 Disney biography Walt Disney, Hollywood's Dark Prince, a book which has caused a significant amount of controversy among other authors and colleagues of Disney for its inconsistencies and factual errors among other things. Number 4. Disney's 1-2, Recess Gags. In 1997, Disney created the Disney's 1-2 block as a spin-off from their successful Disney's One Saturday Morning block on ABC. 1-2 would air every other day from Saturday on the now-defunct UPN channel in America and the Family Channel in Canada. It showcased, more or less, the same shows that One Saturday Morning would air. However, in contrast to how One Saturday Morning aired educational content bumpers, 1-2 aired short gag bumpers featuring their current shows. The shows featured include Disney's Doug, Sabrina, the animated series, Recess, and Pepper Ann. Most, if not all of the gags have been uploaded to the internet in some form, save for the ones based on Recess. Only 3 of the unknown number of Recess gags have been uploaded to the internet. This rarity may be due to the fact that the Recess gags have only been reported to have been seen on the Family Channel. It is unknown if the gags were ever broadcast on UPN. Number 3. Adventure Time Lost Episode. This story was shared by a former intern that worked in Cartoon Network. I am a former intern that used to work at Cartoon Network. Around the time of my arrival, Adventure Time was about to air. The employees settled down to watch the pilot episode, but what we saw was not the pilot episode. The episode began to air like a normal one does, with the theme song. It was the same except for when Finn and Jake pounded fists, the background was red, not blue. At the end of the theme song, it said Adventure Time in a rather odd way, somewhat scarily. Followed by this, it showed Finn and Jake, playing BMO. All of a sudden, a gothic-style Princess Bubblegum came in and in a rash voice said, "Finn, a human boy, hell needs you." Something was up. Hell? The directors and creator Penn Ward were shocked but decided to continue on. Finn then said in Jake's voice, "Well, tell hell I don't need it." He threw a glass bottle at PB and blood shot through her head. Jake, dumbfounded, tried to help PB up. But Finn picked up the glass bottle shards and scratched Jake upside the head with it. "Fuck children!" Finn screamed in a loud, scary voice. Penn Ward jumped and told everyone that the tape was messed with. It had to have been. Penn didn't write it, did he? The next scene may shock you. Finn proceeded to go to the slumber party that was featured in the first episode. Ranicorn and LSP were there, along with the Candy People and Ricardio the Hard Guy. Finn ran in and yelled, "Fuck you." It then showed a picture of a naked kid with a knife through its mouth. A few workers ran out of the room. Penn and I, along with a couple curious writers, stayed. Finn proceeded to take out his sword and slice already dead Princess Bubblegum's throat. Blood went everywhere and the effects were way complex for Adventure Time. Finn proceeded to laugh at the killing of PB, in Jake's voice once again. Then, on the screen, it said hell for more than 20 seconds, until a possibly live camera feed show a creepy, scarred man WHP was screaming "fuck you" and other horrible things, along with threatening Penn Ward. And then, he switched to a different camera on the feed, showing an old wrinkly man raping a child. Both of them naked. Number 2. Sweet Revenge, Fairly Odd Parents. Okay, so I am a huge Fairly Odd Parents fan. I watch it whenever I can. Lately, I've been busy with real life, so I missed a lot of the new episodes in Season 5. Once the box set came out, I tried to buy it, but I did not have enough money to buy it. One of my friends was also a huge fan of the show as well, and he had let me borrow his copy of the set so I could see the episodes that I missed. When I first picked up the copy, I faintly noticed that the Nickelodeon logo was missing off the front cover. I didn't let it process into my mind as I picked up the set. Over the coming weeks, I slowly watched the episodes whenever I could. When I was about to finish it, I noticed something odd. There was an episode 21. All of the seasons, including this one, ended in 20 episodes. The 21st episode was entitled Sweet Revenge. I googled the episode up, to no avail. So, as you can guess, I put the episode on. And this is when stuff gets freaky. The episode begins in near crystal quality, almost better than the others. It's mostly the same as the others. He wakes up, his fairies greet him, etc., etc. About 1 minute into it, when he gets out of his room, he walks downstairs about 5 seconds before his dad walks through the front door with a bloodstained machete in his hand. Timmy, about as terrified as I am at this point, whines, screams, "Dad, what have you done?" His dad mumbles something, but you can barely hear him make out anything except for the consonant "berg." My mind was too freaked out to process that. His dad walks normally, but with that evilly successful feeling, down the living room to the kitchen, where he wipes off the knife and stores it as if nothing ever happened. My mind wanted to stop, but I kept going. Right about here I totally blacked out. The next scene was Timmy playing in his room, with the expression like he just saw a ghost kill his father. The camera shot switches to an angled shot where you can see out the door, and you can vaguely see the form of his dad walking up the hallway with a machete in hand. Cosmo instantly warns Timmy and they try to puff away, but Timmy's dad frantically tries to get him and throws the knife at Timmy, horribly missing and gouging out Cosmo's eye. Cosmo lets out a throat-shredding scream and blood pours out everywhere. Wanda, thinking Cosmo would teleport himself, teleports away, not knowing what just happened to Cosmo. Timmy, being teleported at a metro area, tries to go to a telephone and call the police. When he picks up the payphone, he instantly hears a voice. It's his dad's voice, except being undercasted by a more demonic voice. Scared, he closes his eyes and tries to wake himself up as if he was in a dream. Before he knows it, he can't open his eyes back and it seems as if his eyes are melting and the blood from them is making a devil's pentagram inside his eyelids. After that, he wakes up in his bed as if nothing ever happened. His fairy godparents aren't there to greet him, but he can hear the sounds of Wanda's crying. When Timmy looks over to Wanda, he can see what she's crying about. The machete was still in Cosmo's skull with his eye gouged out, blood oozing out still, on the other side of the floor. Timmy looks outside to see some of the neighbors impaled on the streets on a giant spike. His eyes turn bloodshot red and binary code flashes across the screen, and the ending credits show. I hastily looked up the binary code, and it translated to "He was first, you are next. When you see the red light, you will die." By the way, fuck Satan. I was scared out of my mind. Later that day, I had read that a lunatic impaled 3 people. I was so scared my brain almost stopped working. The next day, my parents literally forced me to go to school. When I was there, I was closing my eyes, almost in the fetal position, when I see this bright flash of red light. I was so scared that I almost shit myself. When I open my eyes, I see the friend that sold me the tape, almost killing himself in laughter. Number 1. The Simpsons, Dead Bart. Dead Bart, a episode that made everyone that hears about it shake, a episode that might have predicted the future. The Simpsons have predicted many things that came true. So I wonder what this episode is hiding. Let's begin. You know how Fox has a weird way of counting Simpsons episodes? They refuse to count a couple of them, making the amount of episodes inconsistent. The reason for this is a lost episode from season 1. Finding details about this missing episode is difficult. No one who was working on the show at the time likes to talk about it. From what has been pieced together, the lost episode was written entirely by Matt Groening. During production of the first season, Matt started to act strangely. He was very quiet, seemed nervous and morbid. Mentioning this to anyone who was present results in them getting very angry, and forbidding you to ever mention it to Matt. I first heard of it at an event where David Silverman was speaking. Someone in the crowd asked about the episode, and Silverman simply left the stage, ending the presentation hours early. The episode's production number was 7G06, the title was Dead Bart. The episode labeled 7G06, Moaning Lisa, was made later and given Dead Bart's production code to hide the latter's existence. In addition to getting angry, asking anyone who was on the show about this will cause them to do everything they can to stop you from directly communicating with Matt Groening. At a fan event, I managed to follow him after he spoke to the crowd, and eventually had a chance to talk to him alone as he was leaving the building. He didn't seem upset that I had followed him, probably expected a typical encounter with an obsessive fan. When I mentioned the lost episode though, all color drained from his face and he started trembling. When I asked him if he could tell me any details, he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and handed it to me. He begged me never to mention the episode again. The piece of paper had a website address on it. I would rather not say what it was, for reasons you'll see in a second. I entered the address into my browser, and I came to a site that was completely black, except for a line of yellow text, a download link. I clicked on it, and a file started downloading. Once the file was downloaded, my computer went crazy. It was the worst virus I had ever seen. System restore didn't work, the entire computer had to be rebooted. Before doing this though, I copied the file onto a CD. I tried to open it on my now empty computer, and as I suspected, there was an episode of The Simpsons on it. The episode started off like any other episode, but had very poor quality animation. If you've seen the original animation for Some Enchanted Evening, it was similar, but less stable. The first act was fairly normal, but the way the characters acted was a little off. Homer seemed angrier, Marge seemed depressed, Lisa seemed anxious, Bart seemed to have genuine anger and hatred for his parents. The episode was about the Simpsons going on a plane trip. Near the end of the first act, the plane was taking off. Bart was fooling around, as you'd expect. However, as the plane was about 50 feet off the ground, Bart broke a window on the plane and was sucked out. At the beginning of the series, Matt had an idea that the animated style of the Simpsons world represented life, and that death turned things more realistic. This was used in this episode. The picture of Bart's corpse was barely recognizable. They took full advantage of it not having to move, and made an almost photorealistic drawing of his dead body. Act 1 ended with the shot of Bart's corpse. When Act 2 started, Homer, Marge, and Lisa were sitting at their table, crying. The crying went on and on. It got more pained, and sounded more realistic, better acting than you would think possible. The animation started to decay even more as they cried, and you could hear murmuring in the background. The characters could barely be made out, they were stretching and blurring, they looked like deformed shadows with random bright colors thrown on them. There were faces looking in the window, flashing in and out so you were never sure what they looked like. This crying went on for all of Act 2. Act 3 opened with a title card saying 1 year had passed. Homer, Marge, and Lisa were skeletally thin, and still sitting at the table. There was no sign of Maggie or the pets. They decided to visit Bart's grave. Springfield was completely deserted, and as they walked to the cemetery the houses became more and more decrepit. They all looked abandoned. When they got to the grave, Bart's body was just lying in front of his tombstone, looking just like it did at the end of Act 1. The family started crying again. Eventually they stopped, and just stared at Bart's body. The camera zoomed in on Homer's face. According to summaries, Homer tells a joke at this part, but it isn't audible in the version I saw. You can't tell what Homer is saying. The view zoomed out as the episode came to a close. The tombstones in the background had the names of every Simpsons guest star on them. Some that no one had heard of in 1989, some that haven't been on the show yet. All of them had death dates on them. Hey guys! Thanks for watching. I hope that you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This had been Mystic from the Library of Secrets and Facts. See you next time.